Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. I'm Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas, and I'm here with Major Crimes Division Commander Matt Clark, and we'll be providing a in-depth follow-up briefing on a officer-involved shooting that occurred last Tuesday afternoon, April 7th. As you'll hear, this incident unfolded over quite a long time, ultimately came to a tragic conclusion. I'm certain that there will be questions at the end of our presentation, and we will do our best to answer those. So, Matt?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Clark. I oversee the Major Crimes Division for the Denver Police Department. I appreciate you being here and giving us an opportunity to provide additional information regarding the police officer-involved shooting that occurred on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. This update today is based on information learned through the investigation to this point, which includes interviewing of witnesses, processing the crime scene, and speaking with the involved officer. As Chief Thomas said, at the end we'll address any questions we're able to at that point. On Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, at approximately 3:40 p.m., the Denver Communications Center received a 911 call reporting a male outside of a residence with a firearm. This was in the 1000 block of South Quitman Street in Southwest Denver. The caller provided only an address before disconnecting the call, and no further information was provided regarding the subject. Multiple attempts to recontact that individual were unsuccessful. Uniformed Denver police officers were dispatched and arrived to this call within 3 minutes. They developed a response plan and began coordinated efforts to communicate with the subject, a male subject that they observed in the backyard of the residence. Commands were issued in English and Spanish using both verbal announcements and a public address system. The subject responded to the officers intermittently, but refused to answer questions, did not comply with direction, and generally responded with profanity. Officers observed the subject holding what appeared to be a hunting-style rifle. Upon recognizing the long gun, the officers repositioned, they created distance, and began establishing a secure perimeter by closing area streets. Due to the presence of an armed subject and uncertainty regarding additional individuals at risk, officers requested the tactical resources of the Denver Police Department's Metro SWAT unit. Additionally, officers requested a drone operator respond to provide visual from above the property, and also requested Denver Health paramedics stage nearby. A reverse 911 notification went out to the surrounding area to advise residents to shelter in place. Officers continued their efforts to communicate with the individual for over an hour. These efforts were led by officers who had completed the department's crisis intervention training, often referred to as CIT training. While the de-escalation efforts were occurring, the subject was walking around in the backyard and was seen raising the rifle in the direction of officers who were positioned to the north and east of the residence. At one point, officers who were monitoring the subject from a neighboring yard observed an adult male who was later determined to be a family member of the subject, exit the residence and attempt to disarm the subject in the backyard. A brief struggle ensued between the two, but the family member was unable to gain control of the rifle from the subject. The family member left the backyard. At approximately 4:55 p.m., the subject moved to the southeast portion of the yard. At that location, he became aware of an officer who was positioned in a neighboring yard to the south. The subject quickly raised the rifle and pointed it in the officer's direction. Believing the subject was about to discharge the weapon, the officer fired multiple rounds, striking the subject. SWAT personnel approached, secured the weapon, and removed the subject from the yard to allow officers to begin rendering aid, which included CPR. Denver Health paramedics who were staged nearby immediately responded, assumed care, and transported the subject to the hospital. Despite life-saving efforts, the subject was pronounced deceased. The Denver Office of the Medical Examiner identified the subject as 58-year-old Joseph Frank Martinez. Through the investigation, it was determined that one Denver police officer discharged 5 rounds from a department-approved rifle. Investigators and crime scene technicians recovered a pump-style BB rifle with a solid wood stock and a metal barrel at the scene. This was the weapon possessed by Mr. Martinez throughout the incident. The 911 caller was later determined to have been a family member of the victim. The officer involved in this incident is assigned to the department's Special Operations Division, the Metro SWAT unit. The officer has been with the department since 2019 and has not been involved in a prior police shooting incident. All officers, including the involved officer, had their body-worn cameras activated during this incident. In accordance with the department's policy, the officer will be placed in a non-line assignment pending the completion of the department's reintegration process. This is the early stage of the investigation. It remains an active investigation, and I would encourage anyone with information or video who has not already communicated with the Denver Police Department to reach out to us directly or through Metro Denver Crime Stoppers. This incident is being investigated by the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, the Colorado State Patrol, the Denver Police Homicide Unit, and the Denver District Attorney's Office. Denver's Office of the Independent Monitor actively monitors these investigations as well throughout its entirety. I'd like to give you some brief slides. We've shared some of the videos that were captured, but here's some screenshots to provide some additional context, and I can take any questions. This is a screenshot of an image that was captured by the drone that was deployed over the backyard of the residence. It shows the subject walking around holding the item that was believed to be the rifle there. This is another drone screenshot. At this point, Mr. Martinez has moved to the back east area of the property. He's facing to the south, and this is a difficult image to see, but what he's done in this is raised that same rifle up towards the officer who was positioned in a yard directly south of there on the east side of that shed. And finally, the rifle that was recovered at the scene that Mr. Martinez possessed throughout this incident. I can address any questions. Sir.
In speaking with the family member who called 911, did they express that Mr. Martinez was, had mental health struggles or suicidal ideation or anything prior to the incident?
The call was extremely brief, and so the 911 call, the information that was provided was just an address that he confirmed twice with the call taker, and that there was a person there with a weapon, a gun.
Have police spoken to this person since the incident or following it?
We have spoken with them.
Anything gained from that about ideation or?
So we generally don't talk about the mental status of the individual.
Gotcha.
Did officers contact other family members at the scene?
There was other family members present that were at the scene. They were safe. They safely removed themselves to the front and met with officers and were later interviewed by investigators.
Do we know if any of those people told officers that this was a non-lethal weapon?
There was communication that was provided that indicated that they thought that the weapon might not be a functional or a real weapon. But there was no more information, and the officers were essentially left with an individual who possessed a weapon that looked very similar to a rifle that was pointed directly at them. Anybody else? Thank you.
Sorry, real quick, could you spell his name just to make sure we have it correct?
Joseph Martinez? Certainly, Joseph, and then Martinez, Martinez.
And Frank, Frank.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, that's his middle name. Yep.